Welcome to the July edition of the Wake County Utility Coordinating Committee. The coordinating committee, our goal is to bring together the various stakeholders within the facility operators, locators, contractors, excavators, those of with a keen interest in damage prevention and public safety. So welcome everyone. You know, the goal here is to share information and to get to know one another so that we can all go home at the end of the day, not having shut down any major roadways or damaged any facility. And of course, with ourselves and our coworkers and the general public, have everyone go home at the end of the day, perhaps a little bit better than they started the day, with a few more dollars in their pocket, but certainly no worse. That's the goal. So we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Guy Smith. I'm with CES Group Engineers, headquartered in Charlotte with offices in Columbia, South Carolina. And I am the chair, and we'll go to my right this time. So we'll do introductions.
David Swigert, I work for ITS. Tommy Smith, Dominion.
Jeff Forham, DEMC.
Christian Green, Hyper Networks.
Lucas Strand, Hyper Networks.
Kelly Zackany, Hyper Networks.
Gary Barnes, Duke Energy. Dave Hill, NCDOT.
Sandy Johnson, Dominion Energy.
Reed Miller, Dominion. Seth Damer, Elk Energy.
Kevin Mathieu, Dominion.
Dave Holder, City of Raleigh.
Bridget Rivers, Dominion Energy.
Tiffany Eli, Dominion Energy. Sherry Clay, Dominion Energy.
Trevor Green, Dominion Energy.
Amanda Layton, Dominion Energy. Bonnie Young, Dominion.
Mark Worth, Dominion Energy.
Right. Strong showing in the room with Dominion Energy. Right. And then how about who do we have online? You want to just read them off their parish, or maybe have Danny do it?
Yeah, so we have Fred Holly, Court Bennett, Michael Hooker, Randy Altman, Louis Banzer, Tom Barrett, Scott Hawkins, Robert Yu, Timmy Groves, and Desmond Whitfield. I think that is all I see. Am I missing anybody up there, Louis or Tammy?
I think you got us. I think Robert, you also would like to share a safety message if possible.
He wants to do the safety message minute?
Yes, he does.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and roll right into that. Robert Yu with USIC. Robert, if you'll go ahead and roll into our safety message, I strongly suspect that it will be significant.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I came up to Durham today to check on some projects and then had a tailgate meeting. And as we all know, the heat is getting pretty oppressive this week. I think as we get deeper into the week, it's going to get up to the mid to the upper, close to 100 in the Raleigh area. So I'm sure it's similar throughout the Southeast. I'm sure we have a lot of folks out there, in the trenches, in the sun, in the heat. And I have no doubt everybody's got the proper defenses to make sure they stay hydrated, from, H2O to sunblocks to taking plenty of breaks, encouraging our folks to take plenty of breaks. But unfortunately, I want to share a little incident that occurred this morning. So we're having a safety tailgate meeting, and we had a gentleman that just passed out standing. We're only 30 minutes into it. So without getting into all the detail, the employee's okay. Turns out that, the same thing that I preached to my son before his soccer game on a Saturday morning is what we drink, Friday for Saturday, right? We drink today for tomorrow. So hydration occurs throughout the day, right? But it's very important that it doesn't stop until you get home. When you get home, right? You got to continue to drink this evening until you go to bed so that your body can have the proper fluids. We've had several instances of where employee in the last few weeks stated that they pulled a muscle, ended up getting some triage, and it turned out to be where they were just dehydrated and their muscles were cramping up. So I would just encourage everybody to remember our folks that are in the trenches during the suppressive heat. Make sure we're trying to institute a buddy system to where every tech has another tech that they're checking in to make sure that they are staying hydrated. I know we did give out Camelbacks to all our technicians so that it's readily available. And the importance of making sure something we don't think about, right? Which is, hey, it tastes awesome when you're drinking a very cold refreshment, right? But also understanding that out here in the trenches, it's very important that we're drinking room temperature water. We all know that if you drink something super cold, your body's going to have to to warm it before it can feed the mussels, right? So just want to share that quick message to everyone. Thank you, Guy.
Thank you, Robert. It's really important stuff. The other, to add on to that, I had this when I was with the telecom construction firm I was with a few years ago. We got a memo from our workers' comp carrier talking about the potential challenges of energy drinks. Energy drinks are a nice pick-me-up, but they can create significant problems with dehydration, and it's especially important in this heat, as Robert said, you hydrate today to be okay tomorrow. And if you're doing the energy drinks, it will dehydrate you, and it can cause some significant problems. So just a reminder about that. And Robert's absolutely on point. So, and the buddy system is just outstanding practice. It's best practice. So if you have technicians or folks that are working solo in the field, create a buddy system so that somebody contacts them on a regular basis, based on your particular circumstances. We used to do 30-minute intervals just to keep an eye on folks for various reasons, but yeah, it's good stuff. So, thank you, Robert. We appreciate that very much. So, what's going on? What's going on in the world of NCDOT? I'll start with you guys.
Guy, as we're talking about safety moments, don't you want to go through the drill there for the facility, let people know where to rally and all that kind of stuff is?
Absolutely. Thank you, Lewis. Who wants to take the Dominion Energy exit and safety protocol? Sandra, you want to walk us through that, or?
I think, yeah, get closer to the board.
There it is.
So we use the sheet here, location South Raleigh DENC. Our address, if you need to let anyone know where you're at, 4211 Global Street. Best phone number they can contact is written there, 919-836-2420. Fire alarms and fire extinguishers. You got fire extinguishers at both ends of this room. Fire alarms right outside both doors. Who will call 911 for us?
I'll do that.
In the event of a fire or emergency, our assembly points, we have two. Primary is going to be out front by the front sign. If you cannot get out that way, you're going to go out the back door and meet by the dumpster area. I would say you're calling 911, so you'll meet the first responders as well.
Yep.
Severe weather assembly point, if we have a pop-up tornado, that's going to be the entryways and inside the bathrooms, right outside this door to your left. Who will lead the evacuation for us?
I will.
Thank you. And who will ensure all are evacuated? Who's closest to the roster? You're close to the roster. You can use that roster to follow that out. Active shooter protocol. What we're going to do is run, we're going to hide, and then last resort, we're going to fight if we need to. Who's going to manage time for us? Parrish?
Yeah, so if you see me stand up every 30 minutes, just stand up, kind of stretch on your own, and then quietly sit back down. Just 30 for 30, get up and get your blood moving a little bit.
There you go. Location of the AEDs and who will retrieve those. We got an AED right outside this room, and I will take care of getting that. Anyone in the room certified to perform CPR? Tiffany, thank you, ma'am. Name of the closest medical facility, that's going to be Wake Med Raleigh, Big Wake Med. Location of that is 3000 New Bern Avenue. And the phone number for that facility is 919-350-8000. And that covers our level 1.
Thank you for sharing that. And Lewis, thank you for the reminder. I tend to forget that. I do so much virtual these days that it slips my mind. So thank you for that. So now we'll go back to picking on NCDOT. What's new and exciting in the world of DOT in Wake County?
I mean, we're basically just kind of, the utilities are trying to restructure with fire and support church. Went to the city of Raleigh, so we're just kind of figuring out things done.
That's been an ongoing challenge. What's the ongoing, that's been what, 2 years in the making, 2 years under construction, going on 2 years there?
What's that?
There at Barter or?
Byron just left, Friday was his last day. So
Oh, okay.
That's Friday, so
Oh,
it's fresh, so.
okay. All right, well, that's news. Any strong internal candidates?
I mean, I'm not one to say it like that. I'm a low level employee over there compared to the people that I consider.
On my email, when I emailed you about this meeting, it says, if you need assistance, please contact Amy York. I do have an email address, and if you have an encroachment or broadband-related inquiry, please contact Larry Sanders. That was what was on, and he said his last day was, as you said, Friday.
And for those that don't know, there is on the NCDOT website, there is a directory of the different units, and you can type in a person's number, or you can go to the unit page and identify the specific people who are in that unit with their contact number, their email and office number. So thank you for sharing that. How about Dominion Energy? What's happening new and exciting in Dominion Energy?
Ask the local crowd.
As the local crowd, what's happening in Dominion Energy locally?
North Raleigh, we're pretty steady. Got some fiber projects picking up in Wake Forest. Damage pretty good last month. I do have a question for the group. We're working through some issues, and I want to see how you guys handle things. So, got a new pipeline going in the ground, new fiber, new water line, new power line. Who's locating that before it gets turned over to the utility group? Just curious how everybody's handling that. And any information would be appreciated.
So when we put infrastructure in, our in-house locate team locates it until it gets turned over to our customer.
Okay. Good deal.
Have you talked about a project, all of them together, like joint drills?
Like for us, if we have, 2,000 foot of main in, but not gassed up, who would be responsible for ensuring the integrity of that?
Whoever's put it in.
Whoever's put it in. That's what I thought.
Until it gets it up.
Contractor responsible.
ITS is just like Hyper. Until we turn it over to our customer, we have internal locators.
So that's an industry standard then for the contractor who's putting it in to maintain it before it's turned over.
Yes.
Got it. Just check. Thank you.
That is industry standard practice, but contract specific.
Gotcha.
Got a question on that. And so in those cases when it's an extended period of time between it being installed and it being turned over, how was that company notified of locate requests?
Hey, Louis, you want to speak to that? That was a topic of conversation.
Yeah, so some of these companies,
A while back.
sure. So some of these companies become temporary members, I guess be the easiest way to say it. They become a member of NC 811. They receive notices and they mark for for their temporary ownership of it before it's turned over. We have some folks that, will be a member for like a year, let's say, until they're done with the project, and then they cancel out their membership. That's one method.
Is that a preferred method?
I'm sorry, is that a what?
Is that a preferred method, Louis?
I mean, we're not telling people how they need to manage those facilities, but actually what I would prefer to see, and I suggested this to Google when they were first coming around, was go ahead and register and take care of what you have. But the point is that it's not really turned over to them. They're not taking ownership of it until it is transferred to them. So contracts with whoever's putting your installation in, and make sure that the responsibilities are spelled out in those contracts, as far as how they're going to, like you said, how the integrity is going to be maintained through the project before the handoff.
Hey, this is Robert with USIC. To add to what Louis mentioned is that typically, the customers at USIC locates for, there's a lot of plant going in just every single day, right? Hey, who locates AT&T? Who locates this customer, Duke Energy? And the best way that we find that we're notified, USIC, is the facility owner. We'll have to register those shape files, those updated data with 811 and also with USIC. So that way, our technicians knows that there's plant there registered by that customer X, and then also the one call is also aware of it. How often is that done? I have certain customers that update their shape files every day. I have some that updates it with our GIS department every 1 week. I have some that updates once a year. So yeah, that is something that we do struggle with quite a bit, but we're totally dependent upon our customer to update that or register it with one call and also with our internal USIC GIS.
Yeah, and that would be preferred. I mean, I think that a company that's going to have plant installed for them would want to get ahead of it, I guess, and get those notifications out as continuous work is happening around those facilities, even after they've been safely installed. So that is what I would probably consider a best practice, what he's talking about. And, getting ahead of it means getting from the design phase that information over to us and getting notified after it's gone in.
Okay, thank you for that feedback on that. Did I answer the question?
Yes, sir. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. What else is going on? Things are going well other than that?
Yeah, busy as always, hot. I got a lot of pipe going on the ground and a lot of communication with our excavators.
All right. Good deal. How about on the excavator side of things?
ITS is very busy. We have a job with the city of Raleigh doing joint trench on Atlantic Avenue road widening that kind of stalled because the lead contractor belly up. But we're back over there now, working with the city and doing some rock bore shots that need to be done. Highly sensitive areas, like in front of Wake Med's major hub for all of their Wake Med hospitals is right there on Atlantic Avenue. And we're doing that shot now. Have to back there twice. Due to the joint trench, we're putting in AT&T, we're putting in Segra, we're putting in a new gas main, and Verizon where needed. So that's a busy spot for us in the city right now, trying to move forward. We still have quite a bit of work going on with Google, one of our customers, and Dominion. If I can, I need some help from Robert Yu with USIC. Robert, can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
Great. I've been made aware by 2 ITS employees and 1 Dominion employee that over on Carpenter Pond Road and Tallwood intersection, we're doing a gas job. We have struck AT&T 4 or 5 times in that job, and the locator for USIC is marking, I'm told, from back to curb all the way to the tree line with AT&T marks. And when asked which one is the AT&T line, he says all of them are. So we have no right of way to place outside of 2 feet from a mark. So that's why we've struck AT&T 4 or 5 times. And we've also noticed recently that the power marks are off as well when trying to spot power. Is there some assistance you can give us with James or his supervisor about only locating spots that have AT&T cables under them?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said on the top of the call, there's several reasons I'm on the stage to actually go out there and look at some of those jobs as well. I did. That was an area that you guys have been working quite a bit extensively all up and down Carpenter Pond for a long time. That job transitioned from a couple of my supervisors, Preston McNeil and Bill Lucas, and transitioned to the Durham side, where it becomes also Frontier. So I do know that in certain spots we have 8+ lines out there where it's blending between Frontier and AT&T, but I haven't put my eyes on it. I did have Preston and Bill, I believe Preston McNeil, connected with Tony, and I think they got a good. I'd love for the crew to kind of talk to the technician, but at the end of the day, I like for those escalations to go directly to the supervisor. And Preston has worked really well with Tony and his team on the eastern side, the Raleigh side of that Carpenter Pond Road. So we're going to I think we got a plan in place to continue continue to have that conversation with Preston, and I feel pretty confident going forward we can, remedy any issues. Now, as it stands, what's already currently in the ground, I need to put my eyes on it and kind of figure it out. I was told, like I said, 8 main lines go through there, separate, not including all the laterals as well. But certainly, I hear you loud and clear. Your concerns. Finding a place to place any line is difficult, let alone when you have those many marks in the ground. So I take it pretty seriously, very seriously. So I'm hoping that sometime before I leave Durham, I'll put my eyes on it and I'll circle back to you.
Thank you, Robert.
Perfect, thank you. And
Yes,
this is an
sir.
example- This is an example of the whole purpose of this forum, is to develop the relationships and have that conversation for collaboration to resolve the issues that we are inevitable in the field. So thank you for that. How about hyper networks? What's going on in the y'all's world? Busy, busy, busy?
So busy.
We're spreading the party out between a lot of municipalities right now. I think that I'll let you some of the
Yeah,
Put you on the spot.
we're struggling a little. We're constantly in communication with USIC, but it's their busy season, as they say. So it's just that constant back and forth. The communication's good, but the follow-up isn't always there. So we have crews sitting oftentimes because we're just not getting our needs met.
Okay, well, if you have specific locate tickets, and I'm sure, have an offline conversation with Robert and folks, and I'm sure that can get those resolved, so.
Hey, was that Lucas? What hyper just talking?
Yes, sir. Yes, it is, Robert.
Hey, Lucas, I'll connect with you. Okay. I know I saw some email come across this morning. So I think I think I know what's going on there.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Robert.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. City of Raleigh.
All quiet, thank
Oh.
God.
How quiet on the western front?
You better knock on some stuff.
That's no adventures, no challenges, no opportunities. Okay. Well, as a Raleigh taxpayer, I appreciate that. All right. What's going on in y'all's world?
We came here to chat with Robert. Unfortunately, I guess it's beat up on Robert Day. The same Carpenter Pond job site. We've had a few issues out there. And there's just been a lot of erroneous marks. We've had vacuum trucks out there vacuuming down on the marks itself, can't find anything. We've gone APD on some marks, and there's nothing there. And it's just trying to hunt and find a spot to put a big 8-inch pipeline through there. And there's so many marks out there from edge of road to the tree line, and it makes it very difficult.
I can appreciate that. Have you?
Yeah. Hey, this is Robert again. With the risk of
We We don't
sounding
mean to beat up on
exactly
you.
the same as what I said earlier, it's on my radar. That's again, without repeating everything. So.
And just to get you on the record, on the recording, could you identify yourself and the company you're with, please?
Reed Miller with the million.
Okay. Perfect. All righty. What else is what's going on in y'all's world, y'all? It's too quiet. I like this.
Too quiet for who?
You, not you. So Robert, since we beat up on you, you got some positive news for us?
Yeah, job security. No, it's there's there's a lot of grant money out here on top of all the existing BAU work, right? From ITS to Dominion to AT&T to Brightspeed, a lot of grant money. So we're we're finding out some work that's coming down the pipeline that is significant without getting into any customer or footages. We're finding out that some of the projects that we've been working on the last couple of years is should I put this small potatoes to some of the work that's coming down the pipeline. So we're in constant communication with those 2 or 3 facility owners to really recognize the capacity to market. That if you bring in 20 crews, you might have half of them sitting in a hotel room. So we're trying to just really work very closely preemptively to really understand the how much work that's already existing, and that calling in tickets and stating that, hey, it's due in 72 hours is to some extent not a reality. But certainly on our end, we're staffing, we're continuing to staff. I think if some of you guys go back last couple of years, as I talk about how many people we had in our current district, you may have heard me say, 200 or 220. We're currently sitting at 367. So, just to kind of provide some context that when I say we're hiring, we are hiring. So, but it's hard to keep up with the amount of grant work we got out here. So that's our biggest challenge right now.
Okay.
Robert, is there a best practice on how to do the communication?
Try that one more time, sir.
This is Mark with Dominion. I'm just curious, as far as communicating with USIC, is there a best practice on how we should be communicating with USIC, or just using a local contact and talking?
Yeah, I think my personal preference, and I think my peers would agree, is that you're going to have a little speed bumps here and there that you can work with the technician, but generally anything beyond that, my preference is that we contact the foreman or the general foremans in the field, so that we get rid of all the noise and get right to what the problem is and to remedy it. And I can certainly, with the expansion of the growth that we experienced in Raleigh, I can Mark send you an updated contact list of all our foremans and general foremans broken out by county, cities, and township that you're more than welcome to share with your internal folks and your contractors as well.
Okay. I'd appreciate that, Robert. I was questioning if a weekly meeting, 3-time-a-week meeting or something like that would be useful, but I think you described a pretty good process.
Yes, sir.
Plus, Robert, you were going to give them your personal cell phone, if I'm not mistaken, right? So they could just reach out to you directly.
We're already ready then.
I need to use a different name when I sign in.
All righty. Anyone else online have anything to add?
We got Duke Energy here today. We don't want to leave them out. We want you to have your slice of the pie. You guys got any projects going on within the area?
Ain't close to getting by. We're busy, got overhead and underground projects. We got our regular revenue infrastructure going on underground. We've got 60,000 feet of wire replacement on the books to do in the Wake County and the Henderson, Roxborough area. Hoping to get that done by the end of the year. Ongoing overhead projects, we've got reconduct projects, main ones up there on Highway 158 out of Henderson. Got a lot of work going on up there. So yeah, we're busy. And sorry, Robert, I'm gonna have to take my little shot too. We had an instance the other day where we were out in a subdivision about 1 mile south of 5 County Stadium, a new subdivision. I was out there with my general foreman, and we were waiting for the developer to get there. And I was talking with him. I said, "Why are they 3 marks on the ground over here when we just got single phase on this side of the roadway?" And he said, "That's what they're doing now. That the locators are telling my crews and my crew general foreman, they've been instructed to put 3 marks down, even though there's just one primary cable in the ground."
They were located for Duke Energy?
Yes.
They were located your facility?
And this is our facility. We're the only one on that side of the road. And like I've heard y'all talk about that project you had, it kind of cramps us up. I mean, you got that tolerance zone, you got 3 marks there strategically placed out. We don't have any choice but to hand dig. And a lot of it seems to be unnecessary.
And I believe we're
Yeah,
also really concerned about the response time. We get out there and we dig, we don't find anything. We spot dig, we don't find anything. So we call in a 3-hour window, and sometimes it's the next day or 2 days later. So there's a little concern there on our 3-hour notification.
Where's that 5-county stadium? What county is that located in?
It's east of Zebulon out there on 39 Highway and 264.
Okay.
Where the Carolina Bobcats play.
Oh, near the Mudcat Stadium. Okay, got it.
Also out on 39.
Yeah.
Railroad track.
Yeah, I mean, generally we should be only putting down one mark. I do know that in certain cases, if we have a primary and 2 secondaries and a street light, even though they're on the same trench, contractually Duke Energy requires that we put 4 marks down. But we can talk offline about that. But I'll follow up on the Mudcat Stadium 5-county, especially 3 hours kind of worries me a little bit. So no, I hear you. And who was that? Who's this talking, by the way, with Duke Energy?
He wants you to identify yourself.
Jerry Barnes.
Robert, all right, Gary.
You got to do your own board.
I know. I got your number.
I'm afraid of that.
Is there anyone in the room that doesn't have Robert's cell phone number?
The aerial work, new poles, different locations, new poles, same locations, or
Both.
Okay.
We're changing some that's in place. We've got some span challenges in some of the more rural areas. We're trying to shorten up those spans and get them back within our specification. So we're doing change outs, which they will be, within a couple of feet of the existing one. And then, of course, if we shorten up the spans, there'll be new installations in the spans.
The 60,000 foot you mentioned earlier, Gary, is that all underground?
60,000 on the books, yes, sir.
Underground? Well,
About, let's see, I believe I was told about 55,000, that's going to be up in the Henderson Roxborough area. We got about 5,000 or 6,000 in the Zebulon area on the book. And that's cable replacement, not new install. That's going back and changing out some of the more antiquated cable that's been identified as at the end of its life cycle. So that'll be a challenge.
Hey, Gary, is that all wrapped around the work that Infratech is going to be doing throughout the Carolinas?
What was the question?
say it again, Robert. We couldn't hear very well.
Yeah, a lot of those replacement is that I had a conference call earlier in the week, actually last week, with Dan and Roy with Duke Energy. Is this part of that big work that's coming down the pipeline involving Infratech? I believe they're contracted for Duke Energy.
I believe that I've heard some rumblings about that. I think I had a phone call on Monday.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, we were made aware of that upcoming project from throughout the Carolinas, including, North and South Carolina. So appreciate the heads up on that.
And they just don't really keep us, my group, they don't really keep us really forecasted as to what might be coming down 3 or 4 months from now. We find out about it 3 or 4 hours before it starts.
That's right. Okay, thank you.
Anyone online that has anything to add?
I'd like to step in here, please.
Sure.
All right, so yeah, I'm Mike with Carry Locates.
Hey, Mike.
Yes, sir. I got a couple things here, if you don't mind. First, just business as usual here for us in Cary with everything going on. But one other thing is, since Robert is MVP for the morning, Robert, would you mind sending me that contact list that you were talking about for the foremans and the different counties and whatnot?
Sure can.
Sure. And then on another note, I got a couple questions about the actual locate ticket entry response or ticket entry. So one question is, or if you're doing remote entry, I've been hearing some of my folks saying that there's not a place to put in exactly what type of work. If you're doing like concrete work or something like that, you have to put in like new construction. And I think we may have talked about this before. Is there any suggestions, or what should we be doing anything differently as far as if we're calling in or if we're remote entry a ticket into 811 for like specific work like sidewalk, concrete, or something like that? And they're also telling me there's no place to write in a description.
Yeah, so for remote ticket entry, that's not true. They have the ability to do a lot with remote ticket. They're probably talking about single address ticket possibly. There's a couple of other tools that are designed more simply to get just a lot done. And I mean, we see that probably 80% of those single address tickets are coming from contractors, and it does limit the amount of things you can state on there. But remote ticket entry allows you to put a whole range of descriptions and detail into those tickets. If you would just check, Mike, with what they're using, and if they need to be trained in RTE to be able to do that, we can certainly do that for them.
I think the other thing, well, that might have answered the next question too. I guess the other was still the same thing, that with the remote ticket. I'm sorry, not with remote ticket, but well, yeah, with remote ticket, about when there are 3-hour notice tickets called in. I know we've talked about this one before too. A remote ticket entry, either singling out who you need or who you don't need to respond to that 3-hour notice. Is there any limitations to how they do that too? Because we still we're not really making any headway with that.
Yeah, so the capability is absolutely there to isolate individuals who did not respond, to send those 3-hour notices just to those individual member codes. But it really, a lot of it depends on the knowledge of the person calling it in. If they're telling, and what the CSR is being told about it. If they can isolate it to one particular code and they tell them it's just this one, then that's who they send them to. But if there's any ambiguity about it, they're not sure, or it's just telecom, they say, or something, we may send it to all of the telecoms. So we're always going to err on that side, but we are encouraging people to tell us specifically what they need on that 3-hour notice, and they do have the capability to isolate those.
Okay, just like I said, I mean it.
And if you could give kind of like what Robert was saying, if you get some specific instances where you're getting over notified or getting 3-hour notices after you mark it, if you could send some ticket numbers our way, that would be great. You can just email them to me and we can look into it for you.
Thank you.
All right, did I answer your question, Michael?
I'm sorry. Yes, sir. That helped a lot. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else online? Horton, you got anything for us other than y'all are busy?
He's so busy he can't hear you.
I imagine so. Multitasking.
Oh, here he is.
Do what, guy?
You got anything for us other than you're incredibly busy?
Well, we're always busy, but no, everything's good. Like I said, though, I know David's there and he's addressed some issues about some of the locating we're having, and it's an issue with that, and then dealing with the claims and the aftermath, and it's just time consuming and a lot of work. It is. I mean, we're all out here trying to avoid damages and do a good job, but it gets difficult at times. But thank you.
We can certainly understand that. We're all being asked to do more with less in a shorter time frame. So we all feel the pressure. It ebbs and flows. So anyone else online? Thank you.
Scott Hawkins with Google Fiber. Do you have any new updates?
Scott,
As you guys know, we're very, very busy around the Cary, Apex, Garner, Raleigh area, and we're just trying to get footages in and minimize damage as best we can. And I'll actually throw Robert some shade and say, you guys worked well with us in ITS in the Garner area with our little tailgate sessions and all that. We were able to greatly reduce incidences out there. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think that's something that we talked about on the Carpenter Pond side and some of the other projects as it relates to on-site meeting, doing more of those as opposed to trying to deal with it after something has happened. So thanks.
Indeed, yes.
All righty. Who else we have online there? Parrish?
Fred Hall. He seems to got something with County Cary.
I'm good for now.
You good for now? Okay.
All right. Anything new? I think we covered old and new there together. So is there anything dramatic that's new? I mean, we're all, like I said, we're all incredibly busy doing more with less. Resources are tight. So Parrish, you want to roll into your presentation for us?
So again, welcome to the Wake UCC for July. We get a little fireworks going on here. Woo! Yeah, hopefully everybody had a safe and happy 4th of July. See, everybody still has their digits, so you weren't handling fireworks as they went off, which is a good thing, right? Using a little common sense. Some of the things that have happened this month, the state UCC was at the meeting July 11th. July 18th, the Underground Damage Prevention Review Board met at the 811 Event Center. And the only thing coming up, the North Carolina Locate Resolution Partnership Committee, which is in between the local UCC and the state UCC, and they talk about locate issues. It's going to take place tomorrow, 11 a.m. at the NC 811 Event Center. And if I believe I'm correct in saying this, they are going to offer a hybrid, so you can join the Teams platform and participate in that if you can't drive to Greensboro for that. And then the board meeting took place July 21st. All right, so we've got some paradigm training sessions, and they are focused on first responders, police, fire, EMS. And in the past, another one has been primarily focused on excavators. So I know in the past, Piedmont Natural Gas has helped support this. Williams Pipeline still supports this. They're one of the folks who helps put this on. 811 also participates in these. If you would like to participate or send somebody to these events, generally there is a meal provided. You can go to this website, North Carolina Pipeline Awareness.com/meeting_schedule, and check out. They're all across the state of North Carolina. And again, if we are available, we do participate in this. They do show an 811 video, and then they give us a chance to get up and talk to folks and answer any questions that anybody has, as well as we'll take our giveaways. And we get to talk to folks, especially the first responders. You know, there's very rarely, if any, police, fire, EMS in any of the local UCC meetings. If there are, it's because somebody is really old and they want somebody on standby. I'm just kidding about that.
And there are probably 12 different meeting locations.
Yeah, they're all
long list, so it's not
Yep.
very far to drive.
Nope.
And also Dixie Pipeline's involved.
Yep.
Dixie and Williams.
There's one in Wake County, so check it out if you feel free, or if you are free and you want to do that. They're pretty good. All right, we've already shown you. So people stole my thunder earlier. I know Robert, and then a guy was talking about the heat coming up. And not only do you have to worry about the heat, but the humidity as well, right? So you have to factor that in when you're talking about how hot it is. Again, the heat index is anticipated, and you can check. Everybody's got smartphones and the weather, so you can always check that. Make sure you're drinking plenty of cool drinking water, as Robert alluded to. Don't make it ice cold because your body does heat up trying to process that to warm it up so it can. If you're outside and you've got water, you're probably not going to drink it if it's the outside temperature, but if you can cool it down somewhat, it will be more palatable. Actively encourage folks to drink small quantities of water throughout the day. Not only that, but you need to make sure that you're, as a leader, you're making sure that those folks are drinking it, because what folks will tell you is, did you drink your water? Yeah, I drank it. And they're not drinking their water. And next thing you know, they go down with a heat injury. They're a heat casualty. And now you've got to stop work to take them not only to the vehicle to cool down, but if it's worse than that, you got to take them to the hospital. And as the heat index rises, you need to make sure that your work rest cycles indicate that too. So as the temperature gets higher, the heat index gets higher, you need to take more rest cycles. And again, drinking water and getting in a cool, shady area is always a good thing. Buddy system, somebody mentioned that earlier. So if somebody's acting crazier than normal, whether they're talking or gibberish or they're wobbling a little bit, they're probably getting ready to go down with a heat injury. Make sure that somebody's checking on them and identifies that. If somebody is a prior heat injury, they are more susceptible to go down again. The same with cold weather injury. They're more susceptible to cold weather injury again. So make sure you're keeping an extra eye on them. Maintain effective communication. Again, as a leader, you're doing that at all times, and what Robert is doing out with his crews. And encourage workers to wear sunscreen and wear light colored clothing. I wore long sleeves whenever I worked outside all year long with a straw hat until Piedmont started making us wear the hard hats, but I always had the brim to try to get out of that sun because the sun doesn't play. All right, does anybody have any questions and or comments to our safety slide? Go ahead, Lewis.
Harris, yeah, I was just going to say, one of the things we used to talk about here too, and I don't mean to make it uncomfortable, but there's a urine color chart that you can share with your folks to understand when they're taking a pee, like the color of the urine indicates the level of your dehydration or hydration. It's worthwhile to make sure your folks know that that's one way to indicate that you, based on that color, whether you're at a moment where you need to drink about half a bottle of water now, you're doing great, but you should drink some. I mean, that's one of your body's ways of letting you know. So I just wanted to make sure folks knew, and you can get those color chart cards basically if folks are interested, and just let your employees know that that's another indicator.
Yep, and I have seen it posted here at Dominion Energy and then at Piedmont Natural Gas, and I think I've seen them at Duke Energy's facility as well in Greensboro. I want to say they had it on the wall as well. So make sure you utilize those. Also, don't skip a meal. You would be surprised at the amount of water is pulled out of a meal that you're getting as well. So drink your fluids, but eat your meal as well. Don't skip on those. Anybody else? All right, so we've got a video here that's fairly sad, but again, it drives home the point of what Robert and Lewis and I have been talking about here.
Tim was a hard worker. He loved his family. Tim's job was a laborer in a construction company locally. He was sunburned, looked a little tired. He had his dinner, he laid on his bed. That's the last time his mother saw him. And I got up at 5, and at 5:30 I went outside. And when I got up through the kitchen, I saw a bowl of cereal. He was sitting on the steps putting his work shoes on. And I said, what are you doing? It's 5:30. He goes, I got to be in today at 6. I got to be in earlier. Just from what I knew yesterday, you need to eat your lunch today. You need to drink your water. And he said, okay, I got to get going. I said, okay, have a good day. That's the last time I saw him. I got that terrible call from the sheriff's department. you're not prepared.
Employers can prevent heat illness in the workplace with several straightforward actions. First, develop a heat illness prevention plan that outlines procedures, supplies, and equipment necessary to protect workers from heat exposure. Provide training to managers and workers on the signs and symptoms of heat illness. Nearly 3 out of 4 heat-related fatalities happen during the first week of work. Employers need to make sure that new and returning workers acclimatize or build tolerance to heat. It's important that workers drink water, take rest breaks in the shade or a cool area, and wear a hat and light-colored, loose-fitting, breathable clothing to prevent heat illness. Monitoring workers for signs of heat illness is important. Do verbal checks frequently with workers wearing face coverings or personal protective equipment, such as respirators. And finally, encourage workers to check on each other too. By taking these actions, employers can keep their workers safe and, importantly, prevent fatalities from heat illness, like what happened to Tim Barber.
I would also encourage you, if you're a frontline leader out in the field running the crew, that you're doing the same work your crew is. If you're sitting in an air-conditioned truck doing paperwork, you don't know how much they're sweating or how much of a break they need. But if you're out there sweating beside of them and you're fixing to go down, the crew's probably fixing to go down too. So make sure they're drinking water, put them in the truck, cool them off, put them in a shady area, whatever you have to do to make sure they're still chugging along. Again, I've seen leaders in the past, they're sitting in the air conditioned truck. You guys need to hurry up out there. And they'll roll their window back up, right? So I don't roll like that. But does anybody know what day of the week that most heat injuries occur?
Monday.
Why is that?
Dehydration from the weekend.
Drinking cold beers or drinking coffee right all weekend. And just like somebody said earlier, I believe it was Robert, that whatever you drink today, you're going to experience it tomorrow, right? So if you're drinking cold beer, especially race Sunday, if you're watching a race, you're drinking cold beer. Monday morning, you go down, you're not properly hydrated, bam, you're going to be a heat injury, all right?
Paris, before we move on.
Yep.
We had talked a few weeks ago, or maybe the last meeting, our good friend Justice Everett brought up the NCOSH training for new employees. Do we have any additional word on that? Any of the new regulations? Do we have any update on that?
I don't. And Justice sent me an email. He was going to be here today, but he must have got tied up with something. Yeah. So it's funny you mentioned that. I've talked with some other day. They said when they hired a new employee in the wintertime, they throw them out on the crew that they chug right along. When summer comes, they're good to go. He said, when I hire somebody in the summertime, he said, if they put them out there on the crew and they're not properly climatized, he said, by lunch, they're starting to drag. He said, I can really tell. So you have to watch for new employees who aren't used to working in that kind of weather. But no, I don't have anything else. Thank you. All right, let's look at the numbers. So you can see across the state of North Carolina, we are actually down for locate request 1.2%. And year to date, just shy of 7%. So even though we were down last month, we are up for the year. Transmissions of 1.5% decrease, and then just shy of 6% for the transmission. Again, across the state of North Carolina. Looking at wake, you can see the 3 hour went up slightly for last month, but the new tickets were down 5.1%. Ticket update, unfortunately, was up 14.4%. A lot of continuing projects that folks, especially with the DOT, are doing. Average load case per day, 1,325 for June. Year to date, 33.3% for the 3 hour. New tickets are down 2.5%, 102,266. That's a lot of tickets, folks. And the ticket updates, again, 17%. Average load case per day, 1,351. So looking at the 29,154 last month called in for wait, you can see the cities: Apex, Cary, Pequay Varina, Garner, Holly Springs, Wake Forest, Wendell, and then obviously Raleigh comes out on top, 11,124. So looking at the damages that were reported to 811 or through the CGA, Wake had 221. So 811 there's 2 times a year we get to toot our horn, right? 811 day is one of them. Does anybody know the other? Anybody? Nobody? April, what is April? Safe Digging Month. Thank you very much. So if you are a safety professional for your organization and you want to do something around safe digging, right? You got to do a safety presentation. You can go to this website here, nc811.org/811 day, and you can steal all kind of stuff from us. Actually, Steve Moore put that on the website for you to put your presentation together so you can be more professional when you're up front doing your safety speak. Again, 811 day. Hopefully everybody has something planned for that day around safe digging. There is your good-looking NC 811 education team led by Miss Ann Rushing. And again, a copy of this presentation along with the sign-in roster. Hopefully everybody here signed in and everybody online had a chance to sign in. I will grab both of those and roll them up into one along with a PDF and a copy of this video, which will be our minutes, and add it to the NC UCC website. Barring any questions and or comments, that's all I have, sir.
Alrighty. Thank you much. What else?
Let's talk about our contractor breakfast.
Okay, tell us about our contractor breakfast. It's going to be the Halloween breakfast. So we expect you to
Dress up.
come in costume.
All right.
I've been working on this for a while, but it's Justice Everett with AV Utilities will be our sponsor over at the North Carolina State University Club. We can begin breakfast at 7 o'clock, October the 31st. In fact, I got permission because it's still using my credit card.
Thank you, Sandra.
I have, yeah, but I will help that. I did get it sent in. They have reserved for the day. I went ahead and scheduled the university room, which will seat up to 70 people. And if we do that, our food, beverage, and everything's going to cost us about $1,300. If we have to move up, we will have to move to the room that's 670 to 150. It's going to cost us about $3,300. That's just for food and the room. And on top of that, you're going to have a setup fee and for them to clean up and what they want us to do. Those people that have companies that agree to sponsor this is that we have a copy of your credit card, send it to Cassie Parks, and she will apply it to our bill. I don't know how people or companies are going to feel about that. I told them we had to talk about it. So, but I do have this to give out, but we do have it reserved for October 31st, which is
October 31st.
the last meeting of the year for us.
And you need a head count so you can.
Pretty much we need a head count because we really don't know how many people will be there.
Yeah.
And I hesitate to go over the 70 without knowing.
So do you want to be the point of contact for the head count since you're reserving all that? Okay. So please, if you plan on attending and bringing somebody, or if you just coming yourself, reach out to Sandra, let her know, and so she can kind of coordinate the room if we need to stay with the lower room or we need to upsize, which is going to be more expensive. And you said if somebody wants to help with the event itself, paying for it, you've got some information there they can fill out, give you your credit card number. I mean, it all depends on how many is going to help pay for it as how much it's going to be, right? Unless somebody says, hey, my company's only going to do $200. Here's my credit card information. That's all I can pay for is $200. Okay.
You know, like I've talked to Dan Mayer with Sioux Energy. I've talked with Mike Hooker from Town of Cary a couple months back. I talked with Charlie with City Raleigh. So
You got a few sponsors.
yeah, if we can, people start letting me know to step up so we know what to do.
Okay.
Can we dress up for Halloween?
Absolutely.
I
It's
can
encouraged.
point out, no bar. You don't get a bar.
You can dress up.
That's a little early in the morning.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, so, you know.
Well, it won't be with us.
But it's BYOB.
And I did check to make sure, because they've had a lot of construction in that area about parking. If companies need to take their large trucks, their crews, they can do that.
So the next time we're gonna get together, the Hyper Network is gonna provide lunch for us. It's next month, and that's gonna be the 29th of August. So thank you, Hyper Network. Who provided the lunch or who paid the lunch?
Dominion Energy, the food neighbor bought lunch today.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
And, in September, Bobby Freed with Dominion Energy is gonna provide our lunch. And then, of course, then we'll go into October.
Okay.
Nice, thank you.
All right.
Another thing to think about is, if you wanna do a door prize, something small, simple, doesn't have to be a lot, but that's the next thing for our contract prep. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you for breakfast next month. Thank you for breakfast, lunch next month. Thank you for lunch in September, and